what's very normal for me, and what I really sourced from my mom and the way she parented, 8 children, is just really, I mean, she was fiercely independent, strong, funny,
Mm-hmm.
drank a lot of cafe con leche in the morning, and we just ran a tight ship, but it was fun, and it was warm, and it was just always, you wanted to be home. There was always something on the stove. And so I feel like she's so nurturing to both of them, to
Mm-hmm.
Miles and to Jeff. But ultimately, she's very, very strong, in making sure that her son knows that he's loved, and that we will do anything to make sure that he reaches his full potential.
There's a sternness to Jefferson. I mean, he is a cop, and he really wants his son to realize that he deserves what he has. And he's not spending a lot of time telling Miles what he can't have. He really wants him to
Mm-hmm.
have the most of everything. So when Miles is doubting why he's going to this academy, or if these are his people or not, I'm like, these are your people. You belong here. You deserve this. At the same time, you have to really be responsible for what you're doing. And but at the end of the day, it is love. Like I was thinking
Absolutely.
about this. I was like, he throws his arms around his dad and hugs his dad at least 5 to 6 times in this movie,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that that is so important to see, especially like when you have this young boy of color who is out there, who has both of his parents, who is in a bilingual house, who is like has his mother's last name and not my last name, has his uncle around the corner that he can go to. I feel like Jefferson is just the representation of wanting to see this young boy of color have every opportunity afforded to him he possibly can, and the
Mm-hmm.
best way to show that is to give him love with a bit of sternness. There's a little, but at the same time, it's like he's proud of this kid, and he knows that he is the greatness that he is because of his child,
Yeah.
and vice versa. That's the life, you know what I mean? Like those
Yeah.
brownstones in Brooklyn behind those doors that reflect that life just like that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's not a new order of anything. It's something that has existed since.
It's not new. The only thing that's new about it is I feel like finally, thank you, we're actually getting to see how I grew up, how
Yeah,
you grew up,
yeah,
and the idea that this is, this would be somehow an anomaly. Like, this is
hmm,
not the normal family. It's
yeah.
kind of a normal
It's
family, the
really
normal family
normal.
I grew up with. And I love that about this
Yeah,
movie, because it's exactly what you said. It's not the new order, it's just the order.
yeah. And what I also love about this movie is that they really show that this is a house of love. Like we are with each other, with our arms around each other. We love each other. She's my mommy, I'm my poppy. You know what I mean? Like that's our son. It's just so refreshing to
Mhm.
see that, and within the streets of Brooklyn, like within New York, within the place like where all these cultures come together and vibe and make a family and create love. That's what it's about. And I don't know. I for one think about my 13-year-old self. If this had came out when I was 13, like I would have gone nuts. I'm
Yeah.
going nuts now and I'm a grown man, but
Yeah.
like it's just so great that people are open and are willing to have this in their lives, because these lives really do exist. I kind of turned 13 when I watched this thing, because I like could watch it over and over and over again. It's just so fresh. It's just so fresh and in every sense of the word. And it's just really great to know that like that little kid in Minnesota, or that kid over there in the DR, or that kid in London will feel like they see a representation of themselves and open up the possibilities of all the things that could happen for them. Like it's great.
And that some kids actually are going to grow up with it. This is the
Their
norm.
first
This
Spider-Man.
is their first
Yeah.
Spider-Man, and it's just going to be like, oh yeah, of course I could be Spider-Man. There's
Mm-hmm.
no stretch, there's no reach. It just exists. I'm watching it. It's being represented.
Yeah.
And that to me is one of the most exciting things about kids seeing it. It's just that will be the reality.
I hope the conversation brings all kids of any color and background
Absolutely.
together. Like, I can't wait to see these kids who are like from all different backgrounds of life sitting in this theater having this discussion about like, oh my God, like, did you see how they spray painted the spider? Like how the logo is different, how
The
the music isn't,
blackout,
you
the
know,
great
like how all those things are going
expectations.
on. Like, I mean, it's gonna completely like, I think that that's why it's so great because it's called the Spider-Verse, because like the universe, it's a universality that's going on, and it's like it's shifting everything, you know. And I think that that's something that's so great. I mean, we're also mentioning the world of the comic book structure, and the animation is unlike anything I have ever seen. I've never seen
It's
anything like this
gorgeous.
before. And it's just really cool because it's all is a kind of a throwback and something futuristic at the same time. It is giving homage to what came before, and at the same time bringing in the new generation of this. But it's really, it's just refreshing, and I just hope that we see all these different babies out on the street running around as
And
Miles
Spider-Man's
Morales. You know what I
mess.
mean? Like, yeah, like little Gwen Stacy's going all over the place, little spider pigs. You know what I mean?
Spider
I think it's
Ham.
gonna be great. I think it's going. I think it's so necessary.
You're part of this amazing just group of powerful women, and again, there's nothing spectacular or abnormal about that. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like, no, this is the everyday kind of amazing strong woman. And there's, Aunt May, all that legacy is
Mm.
just spectacular, and she's so kind of in this movie she's just so badass. I
Yeah.
love that about her. And
Yeah.
I feel like Rio is that, and so is
Mm-hmm.
Gwen. So you've got
Mm-hmm.
like all these incredibly powerful women that it's really cool to be part of. This movie has everything. I
It
have to say,
really
I can't even
does.
think of it as an animated film.
Right.
Just as a film, standing on its own as a film, I actually really think it's so important, and it's spectacular. You have everything from this family dynamic, which is the foundation for everything, and love, and giving love, receiving love. And then you have this young kid who's about to enter a manhood. And then you have that thrown in with him becoming this
The
superhero, and
superhero.
then the other Spider-Verse. So it's about family, it's about tribe, it's about
Mm-hmm.
fulfilling your potential as a human being, and being supported and nurtured to be your best self. There's so many different levels and layers to this movie that I think are just to speak to everyone, not just 13-year-olds, not just children of color, not just old an older woman or grandmother, just everyone. There's something for everyone in this movie,
And if you're a
truly.
true nerd like me, you will not be disappointed. Honestly, like you will not be disappointed with this film. It's just a new way to bring them along. Like, I think like it's just a way like to open our minds. Like, fantasy is so needed and necessary in this day and time. Like, it's my favorite thing. It gives us a place of security. It makes us feel like there are heroes representing for us. And for this one, I think that it is really going to show another kind of universe reflecting the times that we're in, and showing just a different vibe, showing some flavor. I keep saying, I was like, this movie has so much flavor on it that, Lowry's couldn't even bottle it. So it's like, I just love that kind of thing when you go in and you just feel like it's just something that I think is just going to bring everyone together. It's so new, it's so fresh, it's so creative. That's more than enough, I
It's
think.
spider sauce.
Spider sauce,
Spider
baby!
sauce.
Trademark.
She's a drummer, which is something I've always wanted to be in my life. She has the coolest look. Her as Spider Gwen is, I mean, everything I've ever dreamed of being. So playing this character really was a dream come true, playing a female superhero at that. But she really is just a free-spirited, spunky, witty, natural leader that is just all around awesome. They do meet and have a rather awkward first encounter, but it turns into this beautiful friendship between the two of them. And I think she sees a lot of herself in Miles, and she sees, a lot of room for growth, and she sees his potential, I think, sooner than a lot of other people do. And she truly believes in him. And like I said, they have this beautiful friendship that just evolves throughout the course of the film. And it's really exciting to see how they go from working together to sort of going their own ways, being their own people, and knowing that they're there for each other but are capable of the world on their own. She's a natural leader, and she is the, smartest one in the room, and she knows it. And there's something about that quality that is very likable and admirable and aspirational, I think. But she fits right in. She knows what needs to be done, and she does whatever she has to do to get the job done. And she's quite inspiring, I think. You can achieve anything you put your mind to, no matter who you are, where you're from, what you do, how old you are. And I think that, if there's anything I would want the audience to take away from this film, it's knowing that you, in this case, you can wear the mask, anyone can wear the mask. And it's not even about anyone wearing the mask, more than one person can as well. And that's where the team work and the team effort comes in. And I think it's a beautiful thing that when people from all over come together and as one and unite. It's amazing, I think, that is a reoccurring theme within this movie, these strong female characters, and it's important for obvious reasons, but something that I'm, again, very proud to be a part of. The whole process of making this film, is unlike anything I've ever done. It's obviously not a live-action film, so you come in every few months and you voice parts of the film that are done and are not and are halfway done, and it can be very challenging at times, but I have to say they were so incredible in voicing exactly what was going on. And I mean, I would get off of flights from the other side of the world and come in and meet with them, and they were just like so full of energy and light and positivity, and they just got me through so much, and their minds are, if I could like dive into their minds for 5 minutes each, I would be in heaven. They are incredible and have created something that you've never seen before. Even in these daunting, dark times, it's important to sort of realize the reality of your situations can sometimes be comical. And there's a lot of light and love between all these characters, and with that comes comedy. And yeah, the writing is really, it was all on the page, so it was amazing to be able to bring it to life. Visually, this film is so stunning and interesting and intricate, and I mean, the film moves. There's so much going on, and there are so many different characters that are so relatable and easy to identify with, which I feel like sometimes isn't necessarily always easy when it's not a real person. But this film is so captivating and funny and heartwarming, and I could go on, but go see it because it really is something special. It's about who's fit for the job, and I think that they're all so uniquely strong in their own ways, and they've all had to face and overcome situations that they probably initially didn't think they'd be able to, and they all have each other's back. But it is an interesting sight when you see two very strong male characters contemplating something that whether or not they can handle something, and then Spider-Gwen comes in and brings it home for everybody. But they all have each other's backs, and they're all incredibly strong, and yeah, they're all very special.
It's about family and the connectivity of human beings in general, because they're in a multiverse, in a universe like ours, but a little different, and similar people, and they show problems that the family's dealing with and how the family's working on solving them in a loving way. It's empowering everybody. It's giving everybody the sense that they too can do it, and they can be powerful in their own universe. They showed me the animation, and it was just stellar. It was so beautiful and complex, and they mix cell animation with computer animation, and it's just seamless and wonderful that way. But I wanted to be with it because I just like to be. I like to keep my hand in the youthful universe. And I mean, I've done so many things over my career. I've done Magic School Bus, and I had Edith Ann as a character, and I just had a lot of things that appealed to children and developed for children. And so when I saw the animation, and I just felt like it was going to be a great project, and it's proven so. I think the world is becoming is more used to that, and more they demand it, they expect it if they're enlightened at all. And so there's all kinds of people in this movie. There's even a little pig who's like a person. So it's a wonderful, inclusive movie. She's, of course, she's Peter Parker's aunt, and she's been through it so often with the whole multiverse kind of thing, and she's very high tech and knows all that business, and she's ready for Miles when he appears at her doorway and he needs help. That's another wonderful thing about the movie is all these characters are kind of supportive of Miles and in his journey. And he can turn to people, or he's going to get help from people, and everybody's pulling for the same thing, the same eventuality, and so it's a very positive thing about humanity. Well, what's great about having any great, strong female character, it's a wonderful thing, and the fact that in this movie that it will play to so many young people and to whole families, it's just part of the evolution of society, hopefully, and it'll really stick. I mean, there gradually been more and more female heroes, just very few, but there have been some, and and a lot of them have been in animation. The humor's subtle. It's well chosen. It's not heavy-handed or in any way at all, and yet it works. It's a lighthearted, young feeling for the material, for the movie itself, and I think it translates really, really well. One of the things that's most striking is that it's the first animated Spider-Man, and he's in a multi-universe, and all these different human beings that love each other and are in support. And even if they're in conflict, they're trying to resolve their conflict and their misunderstanding of one another in a more meaningful, loving, familial way, and that shows people how what direction to take in life, without being too saccharine or over the top. It's about people, but it's like it brings out the better side of us.
Aaron is Miles Morales' uncle. brother to his father, Jefferson. Aaron, there's some tension between Jefferson and Aaron, but Uncle Aaron serves as sort of this mentor, this sort of grounding force for Miles, the voice that understands him when no one else really does, the shoulder to lean on, the hip uncle who kind of break down the birds and the bees with you on another level, that guy, you know. So it was a real joy playing that and getting to connect with Shameik, who plays Miles Morales, on that part. With Uncle Aaron and Miles, I think there's a connection there that Miles can't quite have with his father. So I think that they really connect on music. I think they connect on street art, sneaker culture. There's a sort of a video game relationship that they have as well. I think all the cool things that that Miles can't necessarily experience with his dad. His dad is really important because his dad is loving. His dad is a disciplinarian. His dad is a real voice of reason. But there's things where that Miles' parents can't quite cover, and I think Miles is, Uncle Aaron is that voice, that person who sort of fills that gap, that void, because they really do connect really organically and have really similar interests. And I think he just takes a lot of pressure off of Miles. Miles is a kid who is high achieving, but also has high expectations of himself, and his parents do as well, have really high expectations of him, and are really trying to push him to be, in a healthy way, but trying to push him to be a successful, well-rounded person. And sometimes it's a bit much for Miles. And so Aaron is the one who sort of lets a little air out of the balloon for him. And it works. It works for him. I just think that it's a wonderful ride that addresses things that I think speak to all of us at whatever age you're at, you know, as far as really coming to terms with who you are and the responsibilities associated with who you are, and embracing your identity, embracing your capacity, and taking that seriously, but also enjoying yourself along the way. And then the family element is just really beautiful because it's a whole, complete, loving family, not without its issues and sort of complicated family dynamics that definitely exist in that. But that's also very relatable because so many of us have somewhat complicated families or something in them that is complicated, but these are people who are working towards something really positive. And so I think that the film is a perfect fit in terms of families going to see it and really enjoying the story. This film is important on many levels. One, just to see this middle-class family in Brooklyn, and this kid goes to this academy. Like, I know people like that. Those people don't get stories in that sort of middle-class experience. It's really important for people to be able to see that character as well. And obviously him being Puerto Rican and Black, I think that message and the way in which it's packaged and put together is very timely, very positive, and very relevant, and very real for a lot of people. And I just think, you know, growing up as a kid, I'm so happy that my child gets to live in a time where there are more diverse voices, and the pictures of our culture are on their way to lining up with the world we live in, you know, where we're having a very similar experience. I think that we're not there, but I think that we're moving towards being able to sit in a theater or turn on a TV, and what we're watching is slowly becoming a more accurate reflection of the changing world that we live in. And there will always be a certain degree of pressure on the entertainment industry because the world is always going to continue to be changing and morphing and developing. And so how we picture that world, how we create pictures of that world is going to continue to we're going to have to be very conscious of that. And I think that this is a terrific offering, a terrific take on a very specific world with real cultural references. And it's done so well and done so respectfully and positively and dynamically. So I'm excited for people to see this. Miles, sort of shares that there's this girl that he likes, and Uncle Aaron sort of checks in and is trying to gauge where he's at with girls at this point, like being 13 and, being in puberty, and just assuming that he doesn't know how to have a conversation with a girl or to introduce himself with a girl. And he sort of like gives him a little pointer, a couple of pointers on how to approach a young lady, which I don't want to spoil how that turns out, but Miles definitely needs some practice. Humor is timeless. Humor. I think it goes beyond age. I think there's always a way in which humor can really sort of penetrate the heart and the mind. And I think they did just a remarkable job with this of hitting some of the deeper elements that you always need to have in these type of stories. But then also there's a buoyancy to it. There's a levity to the piece that it always pops back up, and it always has a moment where there's this little burst of laughter, and it's done so well, and it's done consistently. It carries throughout the story in its entirety, and so I think it's depending on whether you're a parent and watching this film, or a child, or someone in between who's just going to see the film. I think that there's something there for everyone, and it's all very relatable, which is really difficult to do, and they did a wonderful job.
It's really all entirely groundbreaking with this animation style, and I think people are really appreciating the visual language of it. But at the end of the day, it's the story and the heart, the humor, and the fact that it's Miles Morales' story about a kid growing up, his family, and finding his place in the world. That's the thing that seems to really be resonating with people.
The thing that's amazing about the movie is when we went and tested it and showed it to a bunch of different audiences and asked them, who do you think this movie is for? They all said that it's for everyone. And I think it's true. You've got great comedy that plays to kids, the comedy that plays to adults. It's really sweet. And even though that's this big, crazy action movie, the bottom line is it's an emotional story about a kid and his family. And we wanted it to be really warm. And we're really proud of how kind the movie is, the messages of the movie. It's just got something for everybody.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is about a kid named Miles Morales growing up in Brooklyn in a blended family who's got a lot of expectations on him and trying to figure out his way in life when he gets bitten by a radioactive spider.
As you do.
As you do. And then falls into a crazy superhero action movie that he was never ready for. And it's about him and the original Peter Parker, an older version of Spider-Man, helping to train him and become the hero he needs to be, with the help of maybe a few extra spider people along the way.
It all started with the idea that anybody can wear the mask. You know, it covers your whole face. When I look at Spider-Man, I can see myself in it. Anybody can see themselves in it. And that's why we put together this cast of different Spider people from all different walks of life. And we want young people to watch the movie and come out thinking that they're capable of great things. You know, these are stories about empowerment. And we want people to feel powerful, and we want them to know that, like, we're all counting on each other to take our individual superpowers, whatever they are, and do something to help one another.
In the original Spider-Man that Stan Lee and Steve Ditko created, it was a pretty radical idea to have this lower middle class Queens kid who was a nerd be a superhero and not a billionaire or an alien from outer space. And the idea that one of us, a regular person, could rise up and become a hero was really inspiring. And this is sort of the modern version of that. And we wanted to say anybody, it doesn't matter who you are, you can be a hero too.
We really wanted everyone to be able to enjoy the picture, and we've got a diverse array of characters. You know, Miles' mom, Rio, is like a favorite of everyone in the production. She's just so appealing. Luna, who did her voice, is such a star, and there's just a warmth and intelligence radiating from her that just makes you want to be part of that family.
Spider-Gwen is a huge part of this movie, and voiced by Hailee Steinfeld, and she does an amazing job. She's such a cool character. She's sort of so put together and confident, and she's a really aspirational character for kids. There's also Aunt May, played by Lily Tomlin, and this version of Aunt May, she gets to kick some butt too, and she also is a little bit like the Q in this movie's universe, where she helped invent some of the technology that Spider-Man uses, like his web shooters and things like that.
Yeah, when she gives Miles his first web shooters, she says, "Made them myself." You know, so you understand that, like, she's not just like a doting aunt.
Mm-hmm.
She's got, like, you know, she's got something going on. And it was really important to us to try to do a version of Aunt May that was a little more involved in the world of Spider-Man than you're used to.
And there's also Penny Parker, voiced by Kimiko Glenn, who has a giant mechanical robot that's controlled by a spider that she partners with, and she's a lot of fun, and also kicks a little bit of butt too.
Miles is a kid from multiple cultures. He's an African-American kid with a Puerto Rican mom, and he's sort of in between a lot of different worlds. He's in between being a young person and being a grown-up, and we just think it's such a great thing to see on screen. We have a Japanese American girl from the future in this film.
Any walk of life you can imagine, you can see yourself on screen there. Everything that we do, we can't help ourselves but to try and find the absurdity in it, and try and make each other laugh, make ourselves laugh, and so this film's no different.
It has great action, and
I think it's really funny. It's fun.
Yeah.
There's a nice heart between our two characters in
he's
it.
the teacher, I'm the student, and well, until I'm not the student,
Fair.
you know.
I think the holidays are a great time for this movie. You know, it's inspirational. It's got a lot of heart to it.
Plus, it's pretty funny, you know.
It's pretty funny.
It's cool.
Yeah, Spider-Man's really cool. She's got a great attitude. She's got a cool look. People are gonna like Spider-Gwen.
She saves Miles' life a few times. She's pretty funny. She's funny. She's cool. We have some cool moments, and I think she allows women to look at this movie and have another person to look up to and be like, other than Mary Jane. It's like I could also be Spider-Gwen.